now that all the things are surgeoned, I can start recovering, and that's nice.
I'm Phil Gaimon. When I was a pro cyclist, I would travel to some of the most beautiful places on Earth, and then race right past it and have dinner at the hotel. Now that I'm retired, I'm going back to do it right. But I still love to suffer, so I'm training hard and staying fit. This is worst retirement ever.
So I should say, I'm not a doctor in any way, shape, or form. So, and that's part of the point of this, is see your doctor. But I have recovered faster than was expected, and I want to share some of my methods so that if you have an issue, you can refer to this and maybe learn something, or at least see the misery I've put myself through. For the first few days, you have no choice but to just convalesce and lay in a hospital bed. So I'd broken the collarbone, I'd broken the scapula, I'd broken 4 ribs. What happened was I was racing on the track. It was a qualifier for the points race, and the qualifier just means like the top 20 out of 30 advance to the next round. So I was trying to be safe and conservative. I was sitting second in line going into the sprint, and then I started to move up track, and I guess the sprint had sort of started behind me already. So I looked over my shoulder, but they were coming way faster than I thought, and I think I wasn't really used to the track. You're a little more in the sprints, you're a little more rigid, you're flexing. I was probably too loose, and I think somebody just sprinted by and hit my elbow as I came up, or in my handlebars, and just turned me sideways. So I landed on the track, broke the collarbone and all the ribs, and then as I was laying there, I was like, oh, this is bad. I think this is bad. And then someone ran into my scapula from behind, and I was like, oh, it got worse. So I watched him fly over me. He landed on his feet, which was pretty impressive. So that was the first bit, and then you just go to the hospital. That's just a few days of painkillers and drips, and I don't remember the time or what went on. My mom came up to visit. First, I was in a hospital in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. That was where I got the first surgery on the collarbone, and then we left there to a hospital in Manhattan, the Hospital for Special Surgery, because the scapula was a bad break and a weird break. So they took me there. This whole time, I'm on a lot of Dilaudid, which is, I think, basically morphine. So it was every 6 hours I would get Dilaudid, and then in between, I would get like a muscle relaxer at 2 hours, and then at 4 hours, I would get oxycodone. None of those did anything. It was all just, I could function for 45 minutes after the Dilaudid hit, and then I was just a vegetable for the rest of that time. I started to feel a lot better. After the scapula surgery, the things were a lot more manageable. I woke up in New York the morning after the surgery, and I was definitely high from whatever the pills were, but I know I was feeling better because I went on Postmates and I ordered a bunch of cookies. I forgot I ordered them, but just Levain Bakery just showed up and delivered to my room these delicious cookies, and that's how I was like, all right, I must be doing a little bit better.
Okay, so I'm in the hotel in Pennsylvania. We did the surgery in New York. That went well, and we got the heck out. The thing is, I feel better, but the thing is, you don't get to feel better because they just give you less pain meds. So you're at the same pain, it's just there's less manipulating it to make you think it's less. So things are good. I'm out of the hospitals. That's real nice. I get to start recovering now. We are 6 days from the crash, and I'm going to take my first shower. I'm dreading it because there's a lot of moving, and it was to get to the hallway, to get down the hallway this morning. My heart rate hit 180. I was checking myself. That's a high level of exertion, and so I think the shower is going to be quite the workout. And then I got like dry. Like I'm just thinking of the steps of a shower that you don't think about normally, but that are all going to be like very difficult. Like drying myself is going to be tough. All right, well, let's see how this goes. And here's the after. I got the waterproof sling on, but I got 3 Hawaiian shirts. There's one left in LA. I had one before. Don't worry about it. All right, that's the shower. Shower 1 was a success. So there's knowing. I knew that I got my shoulder cut open, and then there's actually seeing it.
Oh God.
My mom isn't handling it well. She's like, I'm gonna heal, Mom.
Yes.
You.
I know you will. Tomorrow.
All right. So you've seen me do exercises before. These are my exercises now. And I promise you, they're just as strenuous. So first we have the. Here we go. You ready? Here, watch my hands. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the idea. I have to do these. And then we have here. Okay, this is a tough one. Now they're not saying, how much recovery I get between intervals. So I'm just going through them. It's Coach Frank would do a better job with this. Okay, and then we got this. And okay. So it's that, and then you straighten it out. That's that. So you see how my one of my arms is twice the width of the other one? That's been interesting to me. And that's just nice and swollen. It'll go away. Feels alright. Okay, and then this is the last one in my workout. Okay. Basically, you just lean forward and you kind of like let it move.
Dangle.
So relax it. I think it's a good thing that I can straighten my elbows the whole way. I think that's an accomplishment. So that's my workout. If you were following along, take a good rest. Make sure you hydrate and recover from this. Use all your Lactigo creams and stuff.
So this will be the last challenge of the day, is getting up the stairs. And it's good to do a little exercise and get the blood moving and get the swelling down, so it's fine. I'm not overdoing it. But the last exercise of the day will be getting up the stairs to the hotel room. So I got my New Balance on. I've got my the whole workout suit. I've got the new Wahoo Roam, which has very detailed GPS, just for things when it's really critical like this. So we're gonna hit start, and we're gonna do the thing where we put it to data, like we do with the KOM attempt. So this is gonna be slightly slower, but the segment starts here. We're inside. This is the stairwell. I'm going to try and go to the top. Segment starts here. I'm doing so much better than a couple of days ago. That's sort of what inspired this video. Was a couple days ago, walking from my room to the buffet, I clocked my heart rate at like 180, which is insane. Normally it's not that hard to walk to a buffet. Normally it's not 120 beats a minute. Going slow upstairs either. But floor. How big is this hotel?
4th floor.
Oh, alright, we're getting there. This is a little more boring than I thought it was. Okay, this is my summit. Thank you, Strava, for that. Okay. What? Oh yeah, proof that I made it. Not exaggerating the breathing. It's gonna be okay. Finally, I flew back to LA, and I went straight up to Big Bear. And I was in LA. I had friends there. Everybody was worried about me. I wasn't ready to see anybody or exist in society. So I have a little cabin up in Big Bear. I call it the Wattage Cottage, and I just went up there to hide from civilization and be weird and be on a lot of painkillers and drugs. It was very Hunter S. Thompson up there. I'm not gonna lie. There was just a row of pills, and then there was a bourbon, and then I live in California, so there was some weed. I do the edibles. I don't smoke it. and then there's CBD. It wasn't pretty. And then there was a point where I was like, all right, I'm ready to go exist, and I'm gonna get rid of these painkillers and go back to LA and see my friends and maybe like shower and shave and whatnot. Big Bear, if you've watched my channel before, I've got this little cabin up here, and Big Bear is where I used to train when I really had to get my work done for bike racing. It's just a place that I could focus, and the altitude is good, and there's no distractions, and I thought it was pretty appropriate to recover here as well. I'll probably come back here when I have to, when I'm capable of training again. That'll probably happen at the cabin. I call it the Wattage Cottage, up in Big Bear. So I'm up here, and I'm trying to. I keep reading about painkillers and the opioid crisis and all that stuff, and then here's all my opioids been hanging out. So I'm being careful with that. That's something that there's a few days where it's like I'm not going to try to cut down my painkillers because I need it. And then now it's kind of like I need it before bed. Nights are rough, and I need to be able to relax a little bit and sleep. So I've cut it down from every 6 hours to once a day. And I'm thankful to be in a weed legal state where I can have a little edible marijuana, which I think does, the painkillers don't solve your pain either, but the weed helps. I would say it's pretty similar, and I was just reading an article about it, like a Boeing engineer who got addicted after surgery of some sort and was robbing banks and got in prison. He's done, and I think weed is a little bit less likely to ruin my life. And I also have the CBD from Hello Blue, which when you combine that with weed, especially, like, it works on its own, but when you combine it with weed, that's kind of they work together really well. So that's where all that's at. I didn't bring any sponsor stuff up here because I'm not, although I got my New Balance shoes on. And I am wearing the Hawaiian shirt because you need the buttons. That's a thing. This is the DocuSate, which is a stool softener. When you take all the other stuff, your body gets angry, and your bowels. I don't need to tell you what a stool softener is for, do I? Yeah. Sorry. It's for pooping. So right now, the same week that I crashed, Chris Froome had crashed. So I should point out that at this very moment, you are a better climber than both me and Chris Froome. The latter is more impressive, but this is going to be rare, and both of us are going to get back. We're going to get back for you. Probably him first. One question I have is, they say that I keep getting messages that chicks dig scars, and I don't know if that's true or if that's has a chick ever said that, or is that something that dudes tell each other when we mess up and break bones? Let me know on that. It was good to hang out with my mom. That I'm gonna have to go visit her for Christmas this year instead of the other way. But there's something about mom made it a lot easier to get through all that. And I think she was glad she was there too. She kept calling it a boo-boo. Otherwise we were good. And thanks, Mom. I know eventually you'll watch this. In the meantime, I'm up in Big Bear, and my buddy Derek from the bike shop here, who's been in a couple of my videos, he owns a bike shop, and he's got he had some stationary bikes, and love you, Derek. He had one delivered to my house, and I'm gonna do my first bike ride on a stationary thing. I was told obviously I can't lean on the handlebars. Definitely not putting bibs on. I don't expect to last more than 5 minutes because I am winded from walking. It's crazy how out of shape you get. It's crazy how you can go from trying to go for the Olympics to your workout. My workout, one day they give you exercises. My workout was make a fist. One day the workout was, do 500 watts for 5 minutes, and see if you can make a fist. That's where we're at. It's all right. Okay. I'm just going to stay upright. This, ladies and gentlemen, is 25 watts. Not sure how accurate whatever this is. This is not a cork. That is not a Wahoo. But it says 23 watts now. I gotta step it up. I won't make you watch this. This is sad. Next video, well, I'm going to be better. I'm just going to get better. It's going to be okay. I was moving my legs. That was the first thing I had that resembled exercise, was sitting on there. But I couldn't come anywhere close to the handlebars. I certainly couldn't put weight on it, and my range of motion was horrible. But at least it was moving. It wasn't exercise, but I was pumping the blood, which really did make me feel better.
So when I signed Wahoo as a sponsor for the whole Olympic thing, they were really stoked on me using. They got this new Roam computer, which has navigation, it has GPS, all kinds of great stuff. And then 3 days after I signed the thing, I broke myself. And it's going to be a while until I get to navigate anywhere, or I need a GPS, to be honest. And they're cool. And instead of firing me, they sent me every trainer accessory known to man, and of course a Kickr. So trainers have come a long way since I moved to LA to avoid riding a trainer. I'm not moving away, but I haven't started. I'm not Zwifting yet. That's probably going to happen. I'm still one-armed, so I'm not going fast. But I'm excited I get to ride my bicycle again with my saddle and my shoes. But so there's the Kickr, and then there's this fan that I thought I was going to turn off the fan to film, but it's super quiet, which is real nice. And then I got the front wheel riser because I'm a climber and I don't have to race the track anymore. Or I'm going to change that. It's nice being in a garage to exercise. It just feels just like on the road when you get honked at, even in here. I also got this desk that it's on like rollerblade wheels. It fits over your handlebars. Again, that'll be a Zwifting thing, I guess. But it also works for watching movies and whatnot. This is it. This is ride 1, and let's do it. Those.
All right, this is it. This is my first ride on my actual bicycle. I don't know I think there's a fine line between, and I wrote about this in my books, but it's a fine line between determination and hard work and dedication and all that, and then just being an absolute moron, addict, idiot who can't stop. I don't know where I land on that spectrum. I think the ship sailed a long time ago. I think the ship sailed on that for me before I started riding a bike, to be honest. And I can thank the bike for keeping me from getting addicted to something bad, something that might kill me. Big Bear was good for mental peace and quiet. It's great to train up there, but it's hard on the body to be at high altitude. That's why you go to altitude before races. That's why I go there to train. I'm on blood thinners. I don't know if blood thinners and altitude are a good mix. I know that, LeBron, to recover from injury, LeBron James, people, is a basketball player if you're only into cycling. Or probably Chris Froome, too. You go to a hyperbaric chamber to recover from injury. You get extra oxygen. You don't go to 6,700 feet and get less. So I need the quiet up there, but once I was out there a little bit and able to exist in the real world somewhat, I wanted to go home. And plus, all this stuff was waiting for me, the new trainer, so I got that. My body's still, obviously it's getting better, and it's getting better in almost noticeable ways every day. It's still bad. We're a little over 2 weeks out from the actual crash, so a week and a half from the second surgery. It's weird what happens to your body. I'm still pretty swollen and messed up. Obviously, I'm still wearing a sling. You don't realize what you need to do with your right hand until you don't have a right hand anymore. So obviously unpacking my car takes twice as long, but also weird stuff the other day I left my credit card at a restaurant, which I'd never done in my life. And I realized it's because putting the thing in my wallet happens with my right hand. So you remove my right hand, and I just walk away and leave my credit card, so I don't have to drive back half an hour later. And the waitress goes, "Hey, you left your credit card." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I didn't get hungry again this fast. I came back for it." Bruises are interesting. I'd experienced this before, but I think most people haven't had giant bruises like this. So I still got like some yellow. That's still going on, but there was a big one on my back. And when a bruise goes away, it doesn't just dissipate in place. It actually moves. It falls down your body based on something. So like one day, it'll be on your hip. And it's not just like it looks like a bruise. It's like a big black thing, the same bruise that was over there, moves down there. And then it felt like a bruise. It was like, who punched me in my hip in my sleep? And then it moves out of the knees, and then down the ankles, and then I guess it comes out through your pinky toe. That part I don't know. That part I'm just guessing. But it did. Eventually just goes down to your feet and it goes away. So at this point, I keep trying to sleep in a bed, and then I kind of give up. It's not so much, well, laying on the broken ribs and stuff is bad, but really the hard part is getting up. When you get up, it's like, it takes me 5 minutes to get up if I'm laying flat right now. It's like just the pain from the ribs. You can't really do a crunch in that scenario. But a sofa, sleep in a sofa, kind of lean upright against the thing, and then you're already sort of up. So that's, someday I'll sleep in a bed again, but for now, things are great. Mentally, things aren't great. I think once the pain goes away, the depression can set in a little bit. My therapist, one thing I told her, we talked the other day, I keep waking up with like puddle of sweat. And she said, and this sounds precious because I didn't go to frickin' war, but she said it's PTSD, which I guess makes sense. Like, I have a memory of crashing. That's not fun. I have a memory of like sliding on my knuckles and laying on it. For a second, I'm laying on the thing. I'm like, oh, this is a bad one. This is a real crash. I will not be getting up from this for a while. I remember being helped off the track and just walking out to wait for the ambulance. I remember the first night in the hospital when I didn't have the painkillers, or I didn't have enough. They were scared to do surgery on the scapula at first because I had the punctured lung, or the collapsed lung. I don't know, it's partially collapsed. And big fear of that getting worse. So they kept x-raying me and MRIing me and making sure. And an x-ray or an MRI in that scenario is they wheel your hospital bed up to a thing, to the edge of the x-ray table, and then they lift you like a burrito. They just wrap you up in the blanket and drop you onto the thing. I mean, they did it gently, they did it as fast as they could, but I remember just begging them not to. And I'm not soft, I don't think, you guys, but I remember I don't scream in pain, but I was just begging them not to lift me, and then they just drop me, and I just remember like all those bones, just you feel every bit of it. I don't know how long that's gonna stick in my head. I want to shout out to my face for a healing fast. Of all the things, at least I don't have to scare kids. The first few days, my iPhone did not recognize my face. Granted, the technology is horrible, and half the time, but it full on, it was like, that's not Phil. And I had to type in my little passcode. But healed up pretty quick. So that's, we always try to find the bright side. I'm not to the point of setting goals yet. I know there's stuff I'm thinking about, but my main goal first, I need to mend, and then I need to think about what I'm going to do next and what's going to fire me up to train. But mostly, like, my goal now is to ride a bike, and then it'll be to feel good on a bike. I've I'd like to be able to finish my fondo. If you guys want to come ride with me, that's a good way to do it. If you want to drop me, might be a good chance this year at the fondo. All right, so that was week 3 after all the surgeries and whatnot, and that was when I was ready to get rid of the sling, and I have actual footage of me ditching the sling. When I ditched the sling was about the same time that I was able to sleep in a bed again. The first few weeks, it was there's a hospital bed which tilts up, and that's great. But with the ribs, definitely not laying on the scapula. With the ribs, there was no laying down, and really getting up was impossible. So I slept in a sofa, put a sheet down so it wouldn't get too gross. But the thing is, sleep is the best way to heal, and it was impossible for a while. But I was able to get back in the bed and lay flat, which was that was a good moment. One thing I will say, when you have broken ribs, you can't let yourself sneeze. You can't let yourself cough. There's it keeps the healing from happening. Like the bones if you don't want them moving around in there. But there's if you swallow something wrong, boy, are you punished for it. And I learned how to stifle a sneeze. So people do this, if you squeeze your nose right, you can stop mid sneeze. And it feels like if you achieve that, it feels like you just diffused a bomb. It feels like you were about to, because oh crap, this is going to hurt. And then, oh, Phil, you're a genius. You're such a hero. You squeezed your nose. So practice that and be vigilant. If you have to cough, you just grab a pillow and you hug it, and it kind of keeps the bones in place a little bit. Like you're in for it. There's nothing you could do, but it does help. The next part, week 3, was when I started physical therapy. Which it's an aggressive approach. That's pretty early, but the doctor said it was safe. The X-rays were the surgeries went well. They checked the X-rays, everything was kind of intact, and they said, all right, you can start getting back to work to get the range of motion. So at that point, I think I could lift my arm up to here. That was about all it would do, which honestly to me was really scary. I couldn't. You can't reach for things in the cabinet. Like I'm left-handed, fortunately, so that made it easier. But if I'm going to be a pro cyclist or whatever I am, definitely need a little more use of the arm than that. So I went to a physical therapist, and he had some helpful exercises, and we basically, you go in, you do the exercises, you go back in a few days later, and then you get updated exercises, and that's the process. And I was going 3 times a week. I would have gone every day if they would let me. So a couple exercises. We did some lasers, and then he sent me home with some exercises and real basic stuff. So what's weird is I could only lift my arm to here, but my other arm I could just do that. Like the arm, it's not like it was blocked from that stuff. It was just the muscles weren't communicating with the brain. I don't know how it works. Again, I'm not a doctor. But that's the reality. Is I could do that, but I couldn't do that. So one device for that is this weird little pulley system where you just hold it there, and you'd stretch it more and more. And I would just do this for 5 minutes 3 times a day. Just hold it like that. When Alex Howes had shoulder issues, he said he did it while he was riding the trainer. He said your shoulder is not your master. You're in charge of your shoulder. He put it better than that. He's Howes. But just doing a lot of this. This was a tough one. This was a week. So from that you go to this one, which is, I would call it the itsy bitsy spider. You can crawl your hands up and kind of get in position. And this was like I could get here one day, and the next day I get here, and it was noticeable, the improvement day to day, but it was also infuriatingly slow. I'd go to the physical therapist, and they're like, and I feel like this. I can barely do anything, and they're like, "Oh, you're progressing so fast." One thing that I ended up with 2 different physical therapists, and both of them were just like, "Oh, you actually do your exercises," which gets me to the point. My answer to both of them was like, "Who doesn't do their exercises?" And I understand, like, people are busy, everybody has their stuff to do, but this is your shoulder, this is your arm, this is whatever you're going through. To me, whatever you have in your life should be secondary to like how far you can lift yourself, because you can't undo that later. They have to do surgery, and if at some point you meet someone who's I can only raise my arm here because I didn't do my my whatever. So don't slack on that. Do your work. Everything else, other exercise, all the other stuff like that, that's secondary. Your health has to come first. And this to me came a lot before riding a bike. This was what I cared about. I'd get this done, and then I'd ride the trainer after. And then after that, it's strengthening. Once you kind of have the motion back, which I do, like I could do this. It hurts. It doesn't feel like that's smooth. This one, it's kind of it feels like you're pushing through something. But you can do it from the side, and you can do it from the front. Once you get through that, for a while I was assisted with a mop handle to get it all the way up there. But now here we are, and then it gets into strengthening, where that's where the canned beans come in. I started with pinto beans. I graduated to black beans. But you just do like that, which it was hard to do it without. You can see my arms shaking. I know my arms are normally weak. Like a push-up for me is a struggle on a good day, but this is difficult, and then hopefully we'll keep building that up. So this one, no big deal, and this one we're struggling with the baked or the black beans. We also have wall push-ups. Now an actual push-up would definitely be a bridge too far right now, but so you do the wall ones or door push-ups, which is just that. And that's a struggle. And then you kind of focus on that side. Now again, you see your own doctor and they'll give you your own stuff because you don't have exactly my injuries and you're not me. But that's the process. And I'll keep repeating that and you keep graduating. There's some foam roller exercise, all kinds of stuff. And you just go in every time and they give you a little heavier weight. They give you a little more pressure. So that's it for that side. There was also, of course, some on the bike work. Now, week 4 was supposed to be when I was attending national championships. That was the plan. Was one of the steps of the Olympics was nationals. I was not able to participate in that, but I went and I showed up. I wanted the people there to sort of see that I was all right, and I wanted to kind of say hi to the folks who I was hanging out with for a week. And I just felt like I should be there, and a little bit of a punishment, like, all right, Phil, you screwed this up. So now see what you're missing. Eat your heart a little bit. So I did that. I made a little video with Ashton Lambie, and I did meet someone who knew me from the internet, and wanted to be in my video. So Nationals is going on in LA. We were going to do a cookie corner. I was going to race well. I was going to be in the thing, and none of that's happening. But that's okay. And we're going to hang out instead and make some new friends. What's your name?
Micah?
Micah. And what's the dog?
I forgot.
Whose dog is it?
Theirs.
You're just walking a stranger's dog?
No, I know them.
Oh, you know them, but you don't know the name.
No.
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie.
It's Charlie. Okay, that's good. Did you race?
No.
No? You just came to watch?
Yeah,
Brother, cool.
My brother, yeah.
Okay.
I've only done it once.
Okay, you gonna do it again?
No, I don't want to.
That's fair.
I kind of don't want to fall.
I respect that. Yeah, nobody told me you could fall.
Until you fell.
Right? Yeah. All right, thanks, man. Bye, Charlie. All right, so for my second ride back, I wanted to test myself. I wanted to see exactly how much I'd lost. I want to see how much work I had left. I don't recommend doing a massive ride when you've only been riding an hour or two a day. But I wasn't planning on that myself. I left the house to meet with my buddy Chef Jeff. I missed him. I missed more of my riding friends. But I left with an optimistic amount of food from the feed in my pockets. I did my Optogen. I did my Lactago. I just did it again. You do before and after. I did the CBD. I stuffed my pockets with. I brought 6 hours of food, but fully expected to do 3 hours. The way the hills work in Malibu. God, I miss the hills in Malibu, you guys. So I didn't film this ride because I just crashed and I feel very delicate, and I wanted to keep my hands on the handlebars. I hope you'll understand that. I feel like if I made a video and I'm just like doing this on PCH all the time, you all would start yelling at me like, "You idiot, you just healed, knock it off." So I'm filming this after. I did take some photos that I'll intersperse, but I'm filming this from the safety of my sofa, where if I crash, it won't hurt too bad. But the way the hills work there, you can go to a hill, and then basically I was expecting to fall apart at any moment, and I could coast down to the water and cruise back to Santa Monica on the flat Pacific Coast Highway. But started with Jeff. I was feeling okay. He was going easy on me, but I was able to ride fine. And then we ran into some more friends, and they were planning a longer ride, and I was kind of like, all right, I'll stick with them, and when I fall apart, I'll go home. And that never really happened. I was starting to feel it around, like, we got to like mile 60 and 6,000 feet of climbing, and I hit the ketone. I told you I'm pulling out all the stops for this ride. I was prepared for a big one, but I took the ketone. I had some more food, and I was okay. I ended up doing like 11,000 feet, which usually takes me 6 hours. It took me 6:40, something like that. But I did it. So I have some work to do. It was weird to wear a helmet. It was weird to wear sunglasses. It was weird to wear sunscreen. All those things were great. God, it was nice to be out in the hills. Zwift is super cool, but I like the wind in my hair. I like the real thing. It was hot out. That's why I'm doing this. I had my insulated bottles. I'd filled them with ice, and that made a big difference. I treated this like a World Tour race as far as my preparation and gear, because I was worried. But I made it. It's weird to turn the bike, and the bike turns. If you've been riding Zwift long enough, I was like, oh yeah, that's how that goes. Because in my basement, you're just, and then nothing. You're not gonna run into a tree or whatever. I did scrape into an aloe plant on an uphill. I got a little cross-eyed at one point, and so I have a slight wound from this, but I'm okay. And here's the thing: if you get hit by an aloe plant, it heals itself. 'Cause it didn't work that way, but it should have. Why are aloe plants sharp? They're supposed to help you. What else? All right, I feel like I hit the things. Delicate. Bonking, bailing out. I was not comfortable on downhills. I'm not since I stopped racing, I don't rip the descents anyway. We're on open roads. That's stupid. But I was worse than usual today. Jeff waited for me on Tuna Canyon is a crazy one. I did a video about that, but we went down that, which was ambitious for my first ride, and Jeff felt bad about it, so he was like leading me down and kept looking back to make sure I was okay. And I was fine. I'm just gonna get down a minute after I normally would. But it worked. So I guess my takeaway for a lot of people kind of messaged me when I crashed that, oh, I just crashed too, or I've had this, and it was cool to it was a bummer to be going through all of that with other people. I guess like when you crash, on the one hand, like I felt alone, and I realized I wasn't. A lot of people have been through it or were going through it, and it was weird that it was a bummer that we had this in common, but it was cool that I got to go through it with all you guys. And I guess my takeaway is, if you're doing this yourself, my takeaway for myself today is I have training to do, I have work to do to get back to where I was, but it's in there. You do the work, you listen to your doctor, you do your stupid exercises, and at the end, like I was worried that I'd be, like my shoulder still feels tight, but I asked everyone, I was paranoid, I asked them, like, do I feel straight on the bike? Because if I'm crooked, I don't want to ride too long. Because if your shoulder's crooked, your hips are off, and your knees, whatever, like I didn't want to injure myself. But everybody said I looked fine. I felt fine. Well, I looked as good as I can look. But I felt fine, and so that's the message. Like the work that you did, you take some time off. The work is still in there, and you don't have to panic. And it wasn't all for a waste. But focus on your health. Listen to your doctors. Listen to your physical therapist. Do your work. Prioritize your health over your bike stuff, and the bike stuff is going to be just fine. So thanks for everyone who donated and made this stupid crash the best thing I've ever done in a way when it comes to the No Kid Hungry thing. We're at $88,000. I was hoping to get to 100 from the Zwift ride and from Integrated Informatics, but we'll get to 100 at my Fondo, no problem. We have the raffle and the portion of whatever. So anybody, I hope to see you guys there. But we'll get there, and $100,000 is a million meals, and that's cool. This is not how I wanted to get that fundraising done, but it worked. And now I don't feel shattered from this ride. I'm going to be honest. It was more than normal, but I'm okay. But I'm gonna finish icing my legs, and I'm gonna go to bed early. And I'm just gonna ride like a person for a while. I'm gonna enjoy riding my bike, and then I'm gonna get back to work and do some intervals, and hopefully I'll KO him soon. All right, thanks guys. See ya.